Hey guys, welcome to Southern Trace Camping, where today I'm coming to you from Garner State Park, which I know the number one thing you want to know about this park is what are the best campsites and how did you get reservations at Garner in the middle of the summer, because if you've ever tried, you know that that's a pain in the butt, and I'm going to share with you exactly how I did that later on in the video. First, let me start by saying that this is located in Concan, Texas, which is about 90 miles to the west of San Antonio. The number one thing that caught me off guard was when I got to this park, the waiting in line. I've never really come to a park where there's people that have been waiting in line 2 hours just to get a campsite. But that's a possibility when you get here. You'll go into the headquarters, there's a big glass waiting room and a glass door. On the other side of that glass door, there are the agents that will take your reservations, assign you a spot. So basically you pull a ticket and you wait for your number to come up and they call you in. This park has so much to offer, a lot of stuff to cover here, so bear with me. I want to try to make sure you have the absolute best trip you can possibly have at this park. So let's jump into this. Okay, so as far as cell service goes at this park, AT&T is great. Verizon, you will not have it. That's as of July 2018. That's how it stands right now. That's always subject to change. We can't hardly pick up radio stations and absolutely no TV stations over our RV antenna with the booster. We just can't pick up any TV at all. Some other information that you might need to know. The trail that almost everybody likes to hit is the Old Baldy Trail. Old Baldy is the rock that you see in all the pictures. It's only a half mile, a little over a half mile, but you're going up to an 1,800 foot or 1,847 foot peak or something like that. So you're pretty much going straight up. It is not necessarily an easy hike, but it's short. So if you're not sure-footed, don't attempt this trail. It is a lot of fun, and the scenery up there is very beautiful. So if you can, go for it. I'm looking down here at some of my other notes. I will go ahead and tell you up front, we are going to cover the map, but to me, the live oak camping is the absolute best. The trees are much more mature and full, so you get a lot more shade in those areas. I just want to throw that out there, but I'll go over the map here in just a little bit. You do have good water pressure. If you're going to go to the dance at night, my advice is don't park right there at the dance hall. Park down, man, it's I don't know, 500-600 yards down to where one of the stores is at. Park at that store, because the parking around the dance area, there's a good chance you're going to get locked in by somebody who doesn't know how to park. It is super packed in that area during the dance hours. So try to park further down the road from it, and don't let yourself get locked in. They also have a putt-putt golf course, which is $5.36 per person. That's how it averages out after tax. And they also have just different little ice cream shops and stuff right there at the dance hall, and they have one in the more country style park, which is further down. Now during the day use area is absolutely packed during the daytime. You can access the river through a lot of the camping sites, and those areas will not have near the people. That's why there's very few people behind me. For one, the river is very shallow through here where I'm at right now, so you can't float it. That's why there's nobody back here splashing around really. One thing I will suggest that you consider while you're at this park is go check out Devil's Sinkhole. It's about an hour from this park, and sometimes they have 2 to 4 million bats come out of a cave. We had it scheduled to go do, but when we called them to check on how many bats were actually coming out, they said the females were all off having babies and the males were just doing whatever males do when women aren't around, and they were only having just a couple hundred bats come out in a night. So we decided to cancel that trip and just hang out here at the park. But that's something that would have been very cool to see, so you might keep that on your bucket list too. Now, like I said, there's a lot of areas where you can access this river. In the camping loops, you can access the river and float down all the way down to the dam that's here in the state park. And what we did was we left the vehicle down at the dam and then came back up this direction and floated down. The best place to get in right now, if the river is low, the best place to get in is I think they call it river crossing loop. And in the back of River Crossing Camping Loop, there is a few parking places and a place where you can access the river and leave a vehicle there and float all the way down to the dam and then get out. It's best if you have two vehicles, that way you can leave one where you get out and then one where you actually exit the river. So that's what worked for us. That's the hard part when you float a river, is you got to think about what you're going to do when you get done floating the river. Trying to think of some other tips that will help you. Make sure that you bring tons of water in the summer and tons of sunscreen. Along the river, there's a bunch of different areas where you can do rope swings and rock jumping. The best area that we found, absolutely hands down, is south of the dam. Go ahead and go south of the dam, and there the water gets extremely deep. There's areas that it was 18, 20 foot, and there was people jumping out of trees that were, I don't know, 45, 50 foot up. They were jumping, and they still weren't touching bottom. So we had more fun south, and there's less crowds once you get south of the dam. The day use area, which I'll show you on the map, it gets pretty hammered. The public bathrooms here in the camping loops, they're not too terribly bad. The day use areas, there's usually a line of 20 to 30 women at any given time standing outside the bathrooms to use them. So you can do the math. If you have a lot of people coming through those bathrooms and they're hot, it's not the best recipe in the world. Anyway, if you gotta go, you gotta go. So just know that on that. Let me see what else can I share with you. Okay, so here's the map of Garner State Park. There's a lot of information on this map that I want to cover, so I'm going to get to it as fast as I can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this map and orient it the way that my mind kind of separated the park. So you can see this is where you come in off the main highway. This is your headquarters. And I'm going to refer to this road right here as your main park exit road. And to me, that separated the park in the left half and the right half. Most of the camping that we did, or our campsite, was on this side of the park. And then all the day use and trails and pavilion and stores and all that were on this side of the park. So when you see signs all over the park that say park exit, just remember it's leading you back to this road. Okay, so when you come in, you're going to come to a T intersection, which is right there. And then it's going to go up and kind of come to a Y. And you'll take a right at that Y to go to the Rio Frio campgrounds. And you'll take a left and go up to another little Y right here and go either to the Live Oak camping area or basically the tent camping area over on this loop over here. So there's just a couple little Ys that kind of separate everything, and there's also signs everywhere that have the site numbers, you know, whether it's 200 through 280 or whatever. There's signs that'll kind of point you in that direction. But when you first get there, it's a little bit confusing. If you come into the park and you take a right, you'll go down and you'll come to a T intersection. There is camping. There's the Shady Meadows camping area. And then right in here is the River Crossing camping area. So you'll come down and take a left, and like 50 yards, you take another left to go into that camping area. And then you'll be able to see this Shady Meadows camping because it's right in front of you. Now this is the main road that leads back to some of your park stores. You've got your putt-putt and all that right in here. This is where your main day use area is. It's a lot of activities going on through there. You can see there's trails along this road. They want you parking down here at the stores, and there's some parking in areas along here. And you take these trails that lead up to Old Baldy, and there's other different walking trails, but they don't want you parking along this road, and you'll see it. There's really no way to park there. So let's jump over here to give you some information on the sites, okay? So this is the Rio Frio Loop. And I've got to be honest, there was not a site in there that jumped out at me that said, hey, this is a great site. The only site I would ever have considered would have been site 430. And that would be more in the wintertime or fall because it has a direct view of Old Baldy. Other than that, maybe 432 also. You can see Old Baldy great. So if the trees were changing colors and you wanted a pretty view of that, that's the only site in there that I would have taken. And I don't understand, this campsite is the most expensive campsite. And the only thing I can figure is they have newer bathrooms or something that make them $4 a night more. The Live Oak Loop, to me, was absolutely hands down the best. And there's a shot of all of the campsites that had shade. I drove through at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and circled all the ones that had shade. We were in 318, and I'm gonna put a picture of that site. It was a fantastic site. It was very large, lots and lots of shade. Pretty much, I think probably 322, 320, all the way up here to about 300, right on this side. Those two didn't have very much shade, but a lot of these had really, really good shade. And all of these were pretty fair also. I will say that on 330, it's a nice site, but you have a trail leading right alongside of your campsite that leads to another loop. So you will get a lot of foot traffic through there. When I made the video, I was right out here, and there's different access points to the river in between campsites. And people weren't using them that much, but you could see there was definitely trails that led down to the river. This was just the more of tent camping stuff. The river crossing. Now this is one of the main roads. This was right here on this map. That's right. That's what this road is right here. When you come in to the river crossing, you're going to take a left off the main road and go to the back of river crossing. This is where you'll park. And this actual path is an old road bed. It's actually asphalt. That is a great place to get into the river whenever the water is somewhat low. I would definitely, I mean, you can float because you're coming into it right here on this is the big map. You're coming into it right here, and you're able to float for the most part all the way down to the dam, which is right there. There are other areas that you can access the like, you know, where I was taking the video earlier. We were, you know, I was somewhere probably right up in this area somewhere whenever I was taking that video. That would probably take 3 to 4 hours to tube. We got in right here and tubed all the way down, and it took us a lot of time. Now in this day use area right here in this bend, there is a lot of rope swings and a lot of cliff jumping and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I would advise bringing an umbrella or your own canopy if you're wanting to set up in the day use area, just so you can get out of the shade. This was the dam, and right there at the dam is where you can do, they call it the boathouse. You can get paddle boats, paddle boards, kayaks, all different kinds of stuff. But if you walk this, there's a little path that goes past the dam down through here and get back in and float on down. This is where it starts getting really deep holes. And right in about that area is where you have some really good rope swings with really deep water. And some people were actually hanging out of trees that were hanging over the river and dropping into it. But they also offer outside of the park, I believe it's called Happy Hollow. And from what I was told, it's 2 to 3 miles outside of the park. You can float all the way down to the park, and they will have somebody that will bring you back. The park also, if the river gets up, the park store that is located right down in here is where they will have a service that shuttles you back and forth. The river was so low when we were there, they did not offer that. Right in here is the pavilion, which is where the dance hall is. Everybody has a lot of fun there. You've got the Garner grill, which is basically a travel trailer set up serving food. But I would definitely, like I said earlier, park at this store. I said 500 yards. I bet you it's not 300 yards, if that, to walk up here. But you got a lot of parking down through here that you can just walk right up to the dance hall and not get stuck in there. So anyway, I hope that this information helps you. Again, I would probably just plan on entering the river at the river crossing right in there, which is, this is a better view of it, just so you can see where you can park and walk right in there. Anyway, I hope this information on some of the campsites and stuff helps you plan your trip a little bit better. Just one more quick note on the river crossing camping area. I didn't really go over the campsites. The first 3 right here are probably your biggest ones. These are all fairly small. The ones on this side, they slope down towards a creek, so they're not very level. A lot of the other sites in the park are level. These are just short. Everything in through here was short. On the Shady Meadows camping area, these back up to those are not bad sites. The ones on this side back up to a mountain, and you do have some more through here that are spacious, but you are out in the wide open sun right through there. Those are pull through, but they are dead out in the open. I really didn't go much through the Oak Mount camping area because it was just full of tents when we were there. Very, very few travel trailers, and everything was so smashed together, and there were so many people through there. And this is all down near the day use area. In the day use area, that's this part of the map. it was just very crowded through here. So basically, we would just drive through and get on out of there. So anyway, I thought I would throw that note in there also. So how did I get reservations at Garner State Park in the summer? And the key is to do it one night at a time. I tried for 2 years to do one reservation with 4 nights, and I never came close. I started doing it one night at a time, and I picked up sites here and there. Now, I started noticing, starting about 4 or 5 weeks before the dates that I wanted, a lot of sites started becoming available as people canceled their reservations. Now, here's the only drawback to doing 4 separate reservations. Every single morning between 8 and 9 a.m., you have to go to the park office and re-reserve the site that you're already in. Now, here's the good news to that. You get to take your park permit that's inside on your windshield and just walk straight through everybody. You don't have to wait in line in the waiting room with everybody again. You walk right through them, and they're going to give you dirty looks like they hate you. Just ignore it. Walk through the waiting room, through the second glass door, in where the agents are, and just explain to them that you are going to be piecing together a reservation. They will know what that means, and they're the ones that will tell you to just walk through the crowd so you don't have to move sites. Now, my advice is go ahead and make a backup plan. Reserve another state park for the dates that you're wanting. That way, if Garner doesn't work out for you, you still get to go somewhere on the dates you have for your vacation. Now, in December of 2018, they're supposed to go to site specific. That's going to be harder to do piecing it together one night at a time because you may not get the same exact site over and over and over. But I guess we'll have to burn that bridge when we get there. It'll be interesting to see exactly how they work that. Hopefully there'll be some sort of happy median in there where you can get more nights than just the one, but we'll see what happens with that new system. All right, guys, so that's my review on Garner State Park. If there's something that I forgot and didn't mention, please put it in the comments down on the YouTube channel so that it might help other people. There's so much here at this park to try to cover. It's really easy to forget something. But anyway, I hope this information helps you guys. I want you to get out there with your families, have fun, be safe, and God bless.